getting a bit closer to completion, apart from a couple of slight errors I made. Anyway, it's keyway time. We've set up just a broad view, the vertical slide, small vise. I can't use the oil drip, I can't reach, I haven't got enough bits. So when we're running we'll have to just use a brush. Let's zoom in a bit. We'll try that. The test piece I did yesterday came out pretty good. I tend to take a very slow cut, and judging by the test piece I can go down 160, so I'm going to check that on the dial on the vertical slide. I've got 2 sharpening marks on here which are my starting points for the assessment, since when I've done a more accurate positioning. As a matter of fact, while I went on about needing precision on these earlier, it turns out they're not quite as critical as I thought. So we're going to go for the first one. I'm absolutely stretched on the cross slide and compound. I can just get across here enough, which means we can see what we're doing better. When I did the test piece it was the other side. So we'll start a cut. I've already got a small tool impression, having brought the slide up for contact. We're close enough to position there. Well, that's a start there. We're down to nearly in 100 thou. So I'm going to go to the finish, because I must concentrate on that, and then we'll move to the second one. Right, well, that's the first one. We've advanced 550 to the second position. The first one is very close. It might be slightly this way, which is not a problem. As I say, my initial thoughts about accuracy were slightly overplayed. It's not quite as critical. What we're doing, if this was one long keyway instead of 2, it would serve just as well for the scale that goes here and the handle that goes here. So we're just coming up towards contact. We'll cut that one and then take it out of the vise. Incidentally, it goes without saying, I think, I'm hand feeding all the time, taking it slow. Again, I'm going to start this cut and then I'll finish it with the video off, because I have to use this hand on the vertical slide and you won't see a darn thing. Right, that's 100 thou. I'm going to finish it off without the camera. Then I'll check the dimensions and we'll get that out of the vise. I'll just straighten the camera up. Sorry, it had gone slightly off to the side. I think you see what was going on. We're down to depth. on that now, and that's all we're going to do on it. So I'll come back, just and take that out of the vise. It's as much as we can do on that. Got to clean up some burrs yet. Oh, there are our keyways. Bit strange. You can see on the well, in the lower side in this picture, little tool mark on both keyways. I noticed that on the trial one yesterday and thought that was just my carelessness, but not quite sure why those are there. It's no big deal. I've got to clean this up and deburr it and a little polish. I can't explain that at the moment. It's a long time since I've cut a Woodruff keyway, and somebody who's done it before may have an idea why that occurs. Anyway, I'm not too worried about it. So we'll get that cleaned up, and then we've got to get the nut filed down. I realise there's an easy explanation for the tiny little tool mark on the edge of the keyway. The cutter has gone in about 2 or 3 thou deeper than its design should allow. This area, we'll call it the neck, we've gone down just deep enough for the neck area to touch the edge of the keyway slot. So no big deal. I'm not worried about it. Initially I just thought, why did that happen? Logical explanation, usually is. We've got to relieve the shoulders on this nut, and I'm going to take a certain amount off before I dismantle across a compound slide, and then see how much clearance we have or haven't got. This file, this side's a rasp, pretty much woodwork. This side's a good real coarse cut. So just to get rid of material, and I've got my usual cardboard for chips, I'm just going to work away at this both sides and get some material removed. The Sharpie marks, by the way, are just there for my reference. This is the area I'm concentrating on. I've taken some material off, it's still rough cut. Just thought I'd take the compound apart, see where we are with the nut. It's that's more or less parallel, and you might be able to see there, this part of the shoulder has just got to have a little more taken off, and do the same the other side, and we should be pretty close for clearance. And then see if it'll go in all the way. I don't know whether there's anything obstructing further in, hopefully not. And then we can progress. Well, finish here isn't hypercritical, but after the coarse cuts which are finished, I've tried it in the compound. We'll get a little picture of that in a minute. One side is actually slightly tighter than the other because of the casting being a little bit ruggedy, rough. I'm just draw filing this, fairly coarse file, and get rid of the main deep cut marks just to tidy it up a little bit, because my hand gets in the way real quick. Slightly finer file just to get a little bit further. I say finish isn't really critical on this at all, it's just clearance. You might notice the vice jaws, incidentally, they're my lead ones. Not only do they not mar a surface, but they distort as you tighten the vice, and you don't have to tighten the vice quite as much to get a grip, so they're often useful. You might see there's a slight lack of symmetry on the machining out of the casting. So actually this side I had to leave a bit more, but overall the end result is very close. We'll put that in slightly tight, which is good. I probably had to take about a quarter thou off to finish it. I might get in the way here. Right, let's see how we go. Sorry, the gib nuts are still a little bit tight. Alright, we're good for clearance. So the next thing is to check for some other details. Well, the keyways in the old one, which measured out at less than 937, they were 91 something. So the keys seem to be a little bit, they must have been filed off slightly. So they go in, and I may well replace them, but it may not matter. It may not matter. The spindle area here, I popped that back in the lathe. It was about a half a thou too large, which I suspected. I left that option for polishing. Now then we got to see here if we can get whether the keys are going to be too proud, although I thought pretty much got the depth. Let me just take them out a minute. Actually, they're not that bad a fit, but normally I tap them in with a little brass hammer. I'm just trying to get this handle back on again. You see, it's just a little bit tight, which is good. I like that. Trying to keep this in frame, but can't see the keyway on the handle. I think we'll try this in situ. It might be slightly easier. Just wind this lead screw nut in. Plenty of oil. I'll get some oil on here too. Now then, the keyways. Now let's put one or two pieces back and see what we can manage. This this piece next. There is the the relief for the collar. I'll just get over that bush area. There we are. I'm just going to put the bolts in there, at least for now. I don't know, I'll need to take it out again, we'll have to see. hoping to keep things on the tight side. Right, there's the scale. Now then, this is where I'm going to start dropping woodruff keys, so let's put something down there to catch anything that falls. Let's get some light over here. We haven't really got a lot of... The trouble is the light gets in my way. Right. One key. Right, that's gone on. Second key. Oh, actually we've got to have two keys on together. This one just goes... I noticed this on the old lead screw. As I mentioned earlier, thinking they were a bit critical. I don't think they are, because they've just been sort of approximately equispaced when everything was machined. Oops. Losing the... put the scale back together with the spring. Right, I let the middle come out of that. Nearly did it again. Oh, it's awkward. It's that rear key tipping slightly. Just looking for something to press down on it. If the keys were tighter, they wouldn't tip. That tipped. There we go. That's both keys in position. There's the handle. Oh my. One retaining nut. Just see if I've got everything, whether it's going to bind or not. Oh, that feels nice. Oops. Well, I haven't put a dial gauge on. But I doubt if I got half a thou of play. That's being pessimistic. If I make a small movement, I can see the slide move. There we are, guys. I think I'm going to call that done. And I didn't drop a key. Dear me. Well, at least the weather was milder today, so we managed to get things finished. I didn't show a final close-up of the nut, but that doesn't really matter. I've just got to put the little bolt back in the bottom. That is so smooth. Now with the backlash I've got on the cross slide, I'm thinking I ought to do something for that, but that's a bit of a large job at the moment. Yes, I'm fairly pleased despite the odd error here and there, and I hope if anybody stayed the distance that they've enjoyed the project, even though some of it was on some very cold days. Which you wouldn't have felt, of course. You were probably nice and warm. So, here's the old lead screw. Here's the old nut. Keep them as spares. And thank you for watching.